Hola, ¿qué tal? ¿Cómo están? Welcome back to Spanish Classes with Professor Jason. This is going to be another grammar whiteboard lesson on the topic of indirect objects and indirect object pronouns. So it's going to be a little bit complicated because I'm going to talk about how to combine those with direct object pronouns. So you may need to rewind and review a couple times before this one sinks in, but hopefully it will be helpful to all of you. All right? Here we go. Okay, I'm going to begin by talking about or reminding you what direct objects are, okay? And I'm going to do that with these four sentences, all right? In the first sentence, yo compro las flores. Las flores is the noun that directly receives the action of the main verb. In the second sentence, tú mandas la carta. La carta, singular, is the noun that directly receives the action from the main verb. In José lee el cuento, the short story, el cuento is the noun, singular and masculine, that directly receives the action of that main verb. And in ellos traen los libros, they bring the books, we have a masculine plural direct object. Okay? Remember, direct objects are going to answer the question, what? What is it that I'm buying? What is it that you are sending? What is it that Jose is reading? And what is it that they are bringing? Okay? Direct objects answer the question, what? All right? Now, indirect objects answer the question, to whom or for whom. In the sentences as I have them written, there are no indirect object pronouns. Okay? But we could add these. We could add indirect objects, We could add indirect objects. So if I want to say, I buy the flowers for you, I could say, yo compro las flores para ti. Okay? If I want to say, you send the letter to Ana, I could say, tú mandas la carta a Ana. If I wanted to say, José lee el cuento to the children, I could say, José lee el cuento a los niños. Okay? And then finally, if I wanted to say, they bring the books to whom? To whom? That's our key question for determining the indirect object, to whom or for whom. If I wanted to say, to whom do they bring the books? To us, I could say, ellos traen los libros a nosotros. So now we have added indirect object pronouns, or indirect objects, these are indirect objects, not quite pronouns yet. Okay, so para ti, a Ana, a los niños, y a nosotros are indicating to whom or for whom the main action of these verbs is directed. Okay, the what, los libros, la carta, el cuento, that's the direct object. The for whom, the to whom, that's our indirect object. Okay, now in Spanish, even when the indirect objects are included at the end of the sentence like this, it's often common, although redundant, but very common, to include them as well as a direct object pronoun, sort of to anticipate them. So it would be common to hear, ellos nos traen los libros a nosotros. Or Juan or José les lee el cuento a los niños. Or tú le mandas la carta a Ana. Yo te compro las flores. Okay? Now, if we know of whom or to whom these things are directed, we can go ahead and get rid of those and just leave the direct object pronoun. Okay? The information is still there. Yo te compro las flores with this direct object pronoun. Te means a or para ti, to or for you. I can leave le here. Tú le mandas la carta. And as long as I know that we're talking about Ana, and then in this case, le means a Ana. Okay? I can leave it out. All right? Le means a Ana. Tú le mandas la carta. In this case, José les lee el cuento. We know that les, in this case, equals a los niños. Okay? Les equals a los niños. And in the last sentence, ellos nos traen, los libros, we know that nos equals, of course, a nosotros, to us, a nosotros, okay? So the indirect object pronouns, for example, which are me to me, te to you, le, in this case, to Ana, but it could be to him, to her, whoever those people happen to be. Les, if it's plural, to them, right? To the children, to them, and actually it's to them, to the children, and nos, right? To us. So me, te, le, nos, and les are our indirect object pronouns, okay? Now, that's the difference between direct and indirect object pronouns, right? The direct object pronouns, or the direct objects, answer the question, what receives the action of the verb, right? The flowers, the letter, the short story, the books. And the indirect object answers the question, to whom is the action in the main verb directed? To whom or for whom, right? To you, to Ana, to the children, or to us, right? And we're substituting those with these indirect object pronouns, te, le, les, and nos. Now you may have seen that sometimes in Spanish, direct and indirect object pronouns are combined in a single sentence. That's when it gets a little bit tricky, right? That's when it gets a little bit tricky. But for example, the sentence, yo compro las flores para ti, which isn't really very good Spanish, right? Which really isn't very good Spanish, but you get the idea. Could be expressed as yo te las compro. Okay? Yo te las compro. Te is para ti, and las is las flores. Notice that the indirect object pronoun comes first. When you reduce it, right, when you shorten it, the indirect object pronoun comes first, okay? And then the direct object pronoun comes second, okay? I'll give you another example with one of those sentences that we just saw, okay? How about ellos traen los libros a nosotros. Okay? Again, a nosotros is going to be reduced to the indirect object pronoun nos. Los libros is going to be reduced to the direct object pronoun los. And then when we put these into a sentence, we're going to reverse the order so that the indirect object pronoun comes first. Okay, so it's going to be ellos nos los traen. Ellos nos los traen. Now we have to know what los refers to. It's obvious that nos refers to a nosotros, but we have to know from the context of the conversation that los refers to the books. So maybe as a response to a question, ¿Quién trae los libros? Right? ¿Quién nos va a traer los libros? Ellos nos los traen. Okay? Now I'll do one more of these sort of reductions into direct and indirect object pronouns using the model sentence. What was it? I can't remember exactly, but I think it might have been José lee el cuento a los niños. Okay? A los niños. A los niños is going to be reduced to les. Okay? El cuento as an indirect object pronoun. El cuento as a direct object pronoun, masculine singular, is lo. And again, we're going to switch the placement, the direction of those when we reduce the sentence down to José. In a first form, it would be les and then lo, le. But that's kind of a tongue twister, right? The les, lo. So what native speakers do is they replace a le or a les before a lo, la, los, or las with se. Okay, so it's going to become Jose se lo lee. Remember that rule. If you have a le or a lace before another el pronoun, lo, la, los, or las, that becomes se. Okay, Jose se lo lee. Lo being the short story, se referring all the way back to a los niños. All right, so that's the presentation on direct and indirect objects and their pronouns. Hope you've enjoyed it. This has been Professor Jason.